receive apologies for absence. So we have an apology from Councillor Reid. And an apology from anybody else. I don't know whether Chris might be on his way. I will inquire. Apart from that, we're all here. Okay. As always, first item is to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Does anyone have any comments?
Not me.
Everybody happy? Wunderbar. Okay. I will sign in. Right here. So, update from me. So the famous caravan has gone. Was a fantastic TikTok sensation. The video of the caravan got 149,000 likes, 882 comments, was forwarded 10,000 times and was reposted 20,000 times.
Was that Will and Charlie by any chance?
I hope not. But my bandwidth has been so there you go. My caravan was on TikTok, but it has gone, which is great. We've also had the updates of the Waters Brook, which is now being demolished. Currently there is the traffic diversion, which appears to be extended till August. Whether that's wishful thinking, I don't know. Quick feedback on the yellow lines to Cheshire East. So I prepared consolidated feedback from the last two walk-in sessions. All feedback's been forwarded to Cheshire East Council. They've now they've acknowledged receipt. They will now review it, make any updates they think are required, and then it will go into the formal consultation period. In general terms, we didn't ask people if we could share their information with anyone other than Cheshire East Council, which may, in hindsight, have been an error. So we might want to think about that next time.
Oh right, yeah, I never thought.
One of the problems with the feedback is obviously, as always in Pickmere, there are always two sides. Some people are for, some people are against, but some of the feedback would identify a person. So probably not best to give specific feedback. I'm happy to share it with members of the council. Just remind you that it is confidential and shouldn't make its way onto any Facebook sites or shared with people outside the council for the reasons I've just stated. I think general feedback, I think whichever side of the fence people were on, there was a general feeling that people, we should just crack on and get on with it now. We're already coming up to, I went down to the lake today and we already have a large number of people sunbathing.
And the fire tonight.
And fire tonight, great. So we need to get that sorted as soon as possible. I think just to remind everybody that we have no legal powers in this process, we can only influence. So it's really up to Cheshire East what they do with their roads. Another update. So after the last meeting I did get a we call it a complaint that people were talking over each other to an extent. I did look at the video, as I always do. It wasn't particularly excessive, but if I could just remind people that everyone has the right to have their voice heard. And I know we all get excited, and I have to say there was nobody who didn't attempt to talk over somebody at some point. But it's more of a, most people stop and the person wants to continue. Some people just continue on. So if we could just let everyone have their go. I don't think anyone would stop from saying anything. And several times I did ask if anyone had anything they wanted to add to the discussion at the end. So, but just, I know we all get excited. Please be cognitive of that. So I have one apology. So on the agenda there is no feedback on the parish surgery, because in the last meeting we agreed the surgery would become the feedback meeting. However,
and I sort of disagree with that, because I just sort of remember speaking to Pete, well, it was you that said to me we could tie it in with the surgery, and I thought that's... So I genuinely thought there was a surgery as well.
But
it did actually say on the notice on the notice board that it was a surgery and yellow lines.
yeah, but that was something that was put on the board. I never saw that, so I was unaware that it was surgery. Having said that, we can do it now in my chairman's feedback, as it is my error. But certainly in the meeting, what was decided was that we were going to swap it.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Sorry.
But I hadn't realised there was then a post on the notice board saying it was going to go ahead. So there were 3 bits that Peter passed on. One is around the IROS land, and again a little bit of confusion about it's privately owned. I think I'm not sure who that is. I'm not sure Peter can tell us. We need to go back to that person and just explain that just because it's private land, it doesn't give us any particular rights, particularly as there's covenants on the land, which you have to follow. Every house has covenants.
So is it that, the big field? The IROS? No, the bit at the bottom.
Well, I mean, it's all part of the same square.
And what I meant was that in particular is it...
I think the issue that was being made was that when we applied for village green status...
Apologies, Chair.
Not a problem, Vice Chair?
That no, definitely not, because it isn't common land. But now we're being told that it is common land. And the question was then asked, can we use that as could the evidence that the solicitor had given on the feedback for the village green, could that be used in our favour in any way?
Okay, so just to correct that, it is not common land, it is private land. But it's private land with covenants. So for example, I have, on our land, it says I can't, if I find oil on my land, it belongs to Tapley House. I can't ever get rid of that covenant. So that doesn't mean Tapley House have rights of coming into my land.
I think what was being referred to was the fact that is there any chance that we can use the village green ruling in our favour?
No. As far as I can tell, I'm not the legal expert.
I mean, the only thing that I would say, Ewan, about that is that covenants are made all over the country constantly, and covenants are broken all over the country. You know, I mean, half of London, for example, has got covenants on them to say that they can't rent properties out, and yet they're all rented out. On our estate, we've got a covenant to say that you can't have anything other than wooden windows put in our houses, and yet we've probably got about 4 or 5 of them already now with plastic in. So covenants can be broken, and nobody...
But not legally.
Yeah, but who's going to...
Well, I think in this case, a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I think we probably need to feed back to that person. I'm not sure having a debate now is
No, it's not. It's not.
Because we need to understand as I say, I'm not a lawyer, but we need to understand from a lawyer what the legal ramifications are. But based on what we've been told so far, the answer would probably be no. So a resident on Clover Drive expressed their disappointment that they were not aware or consulted on the erection of a climbing wall in the children's playground, which is considered an eyesore.
It's actually 2 people.
On Clover Drive?
Okay. Well, in anything that happens in this village, if you get 2 people in a room, you'll get 3 opinions. I have to say, overwhelmingly at the time, the feedback was very, very positive. I do struggle to say that a piece of children's play equipment in a playground is an eyesore, but it's a personal thing. But yeah, maybe we will look at how we...
Can I just ask, are the people who are saying, are they directly at the side of the playground, or are they further away from the playground?
We'll identify people, Jane.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering whether anybody was that close.
In the area.
They're in the area. Yes, I know, but do they have to, do they drive past it?
But we don't know why.
No.
So, just...
But I mean, it's there. It was legally decided in council.
It was.
It was
so.
publicised
I've
immensely.
been stopped a few times, and the parents would.
Yes, I think most people like it.
Yeah, just talking about it now so people can see, if we were considering it, a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah, but no, it is what it is.
It's an opinion.
It's an opinion.
Of course.
Okay, and in other words, the request regarding the diversion signs for the bridge to help alleviate the issues or the problems experienced by residents on Frog Lane by increased traffic, the type of traffic, or heavier traffic, the speed of the traffic, and could the diversion be set along Park Lane towards the RAF, and would the council be prepared to action this? So I think the answer probably is yes. So I've already, just from my own observation, I've spoken to Farm Club, because when they kick out, all the sat-navs take everyone down Frog Lane. So I've actually changed the time I go to the butchers in Tabling now, because I was meeting all these people coming back from the butchers. But I think it would be useful if people left the village for the M6 this way and went up Flittergate Lane and used that one to come in. I mean, a lot of people I know do the loop now, but I think it's probably something we should take up, because it just isn't working. And Frog Lane was a bit of a nightmare before we had this, with people coming down there, and it's almost like they don't notice it's a one-way or one-track road.
But all we can do is advise. Surely we can't tell people that they can't use it.
No, but I think we've developed a reasonable enough...
I think one of the things as well that was hinted at or mentioned was, could we possibly, would the council be prepared to speak to Highways on whether or not it could be made a one-way system around?
Well, from memory, I think we did bring that up with them when we met on the bridge, and he didn't seem that keen.
I don't think they would be.
The other interesting issue is I always go by taxi to the airport, and Uber sends them down Frog Lane. And I always tell them at the end of the drive, no, go right, and we're going to go down Flittergate. Which, is ridiculous. So there's obviously something on the systems that are driving sat-navs down that way.
Shortest route.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's got something to do with that website that he mentioned, where everything is, all the diversions and all the wordworks.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they get the information from there.
One something, isn't it?
But I certainly think, as long as everyone's in agreement, that we should explore the Frog Lane issue.
Did we had an item a couple of months ago about the damage that had been done to the verges on Frog Lane by the Cheshire East diversion when actually Budworth Road was closed and everyone was diverted that way.
Great.
We were going to write to the council. Did they ever respond or acknowledge our letter? No.
Excuse me, got cramp. I'll double check that.
Sorry,
And then if is it something that you want me to readdress? And
well, I wonder if we're going to write to them again to suggest changes to the flow.
Well, I think maybe talking to the people we know. Because I think with all these things, it's not writing to them just generally isn't helpful. But if you don't find somebody that will point you in the right direction. I'm not sure that the bridge demolisher is the guy that does the diversions, but he
There's
might.
a meeting coming up, hopefully, with the new bridge engineer.
John McPhee.
So possibly to bring it up with him.
Oh, could do. But I think we need.
It's worth it.
Maybe ask him to bring the right person.
Yeah.
The diversions is not very good. It's affecting people's business as well.
Well, the problem as well now, the buses started coming through Pickmere again.
That was it.
Yeah. And they've been trialling it, and they're going down to School Lane, and then over the bridge by Hay Road. And then the other day, we met the bus going through Pickmere Road, going that way around. Somebody told me it came back that way as well, so
Yeah. Well, maybe we could-
they're obviously trying different ways.
Probably suit themselves, don't they? So,
Yeah.
Well, at least they're coming back to Pickmere.
Okay. All right. So okay. So that's it from me. So okay. Next item: declaration of interest, financial or otherwise.
Yes. 9.4.
9.4.
well,
9.7.
Oh yeah, it's it got changed.
Oh, sorry.
It automatically did a weird number thing,
Okay.
so I had to go back and update it.
Okay, and then in the closed session 14, to consider appointing a property manager. One of the groups involved is a relative of mine, so I will recuse myself if there is a vote.
Say that again, Ewan.
So one of the folks involved is a relative of mine,
Oh, okay.
so I won't be voting on that if it comes to a vote. Okay, public forum. Nobody joined us. Then so a report from Councillor HAGUE. I think I did see one.
Yeah, she did.
Sorry, just on the agenda it still says Councillor Parkinson.
I have
my
changed
version.
it. I have changed it.
Okay. I meant the old version because I still got 9.4. That's yeah.
I think it's on that one.
Oh, and they have to change. Okay. Yeah. So.
Oh, see, yeah, as in married name, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. What is it as a matter of interest?
Hey.
Oh, you said, didn't you? I missed something.
Okay. All right. So from Kate, we have obviously an update on the Waterless Bridge, which we've already done. Chester East is introducing new car park charges from May 2025. Paid parking hours extended from 8 AM to 10 PM. Sunday charges are being introduced. There is a after 3 PM initiative remaining, which I think there is one in Knutsford behind Waitrose. Obviously, there's the devolution debate going on, so the consultation. I think we put that on our website, but 13th of April is where the consultation ends. So she's been raising concerns about rural communities and their ability to influence any mayor elections. So it's a very, very diverse county, Tricia, with lots of farming, and then big towns like Crewe and Warrington. But she's suggesting, which I think is a good idea, that people review the devolution material thoroughly and ask probing questions. And there are events coming up, which I think Clerk has been circulating, or Chalk have been circulating, somebody's been circulating it. So we'll disseminate those on the website.
I'd like to comment on that, please, which she flags up something that caught my interest, which of course, as she thinks, it means that we have less say in our own community, let alone a wider community. And I think we ought to bear that in mind. It could make us irrelevant. That could be a good thing. Some might agree. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, one of my issues with Chester East as a current situation is almost everything they post about is Crewe. And very, very little about us out in the sticks. So, and I don't know how you avoid that, because the bigger they're going to focus on Crewe, they're going to focus on Warrington, where the major votes are. And this will probably be a Labour-led group, and historically that's where their base is going to come from. It's not going to come from Pickmere or Highley. So, but you say the same in the country. But I mean, it's a fair point.
Very much so.
They're going to be even more marginalised if it becomes a bigger group.
Yeah.
That was the whole idea of splitting it out in the first place, was to make it more about talking to the people. But,
Yeah.
okay, so over to the clerk on finance.
So, is there any points that anyone had on in the appendix, the full income and expenditure of March. We have 2 donations, one from Nick and the energy, and we had one for the tree works that was done.
Mainly about the tree works really, but we're perhaps the only business group or that doesn't charge anything for administration costs.
Oh, sorry.
In dealing with that sort of thing, but there is a cost. But no doubt we'll discuss that later when we talk about hours.
I mean, it's a difficult one because donations to council are technically unrestricted donations. But it's one of the issues I have for later on, where people are saying, I will donate money for this specific thing.
Yeah.
And that could land us in some tax liability because
Trouble is
there's a difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion.
we've put it in the agenda, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
So it's
But generally, yeah, people should be donating unrestricted money.
It should be to the council, for the council to decide.
Yeah. All money should be to the council for the council to decide. Otherwise, it does raise an interesting question around VAT. Because we're exempt, an individual isn't exempt.
Trouble is, you've only got to look at the numbers and the differences of VAT.
Yeah. But anyway, that's something we need to. Maybe we should actually have a finance committee meeting and discuss how we handle that. Because it is an issue and it could be a liability that we will have to pay out.
Yeah. Maybe we discuss it a bit later when we speak about hours for the clerk.
Yeah, maybe. But then if we do start charging people an admin fee, then it becomes a bit difficult.
Was that an amount that the person said that they would donate, or was it an agreed amount that it's going to cost so much, so I'll pay for that?
Well, they said they would donate it.
Right. Based on where did they arrive at 600?
Well, they made the offer to donate before we got a quote.
I see. I just wondered if they
The only
had the
saving
quote and
grace
said, oh well, we'll give you that much to it or whatever. That was all.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think at the time we discussed it and we say it couldn't be a donation for the tree, it could only be a donation to the council. But again, we
But with the cost of the tree in mind.
well, obviously,
Yeah.
they thought it would be round about that amount of money and that would be a good thing to donate.
Okay.
So would you like it as just donation?
No, we should be donation.
Yeah.
We shouldn't really be accepting conditional donation.
Yeah, makes sense. Was there any others that anyone worried about?
That's fine.
So we have some new payments. So there's my hours, and there is some expenses. I've got some of the receipts here as well, which I can pass around. So I had some stationery, and there was that light that is to be hung up. The tax, and then Microsoft has changed their annual, well, they've increased from $59.99 to $84.99. Yeah.
Because they've added in Copilot AI,
Yeah.
they've decided we should pay £25 a year for it.
Yeah, because I'm having to do it as well at home for our cloud, I think, or something that we're having to pay for. But yeah, so it's whether or not, I don't know what else we would do.
You can get it cheaper
Is that for office?
on Groupon.
I think it's
Because
for
I did.
Office 365.
Okay.
I went on Groupon. You can have a look. I don't know whether it's applicable for what you need, but I certainly got it a lot cheaper on Groupon.
But you can't, yes, it's all out there, of course, but
It was the real thing.
no, I know that, absolutely, I'm the same, but we have a responsibility here, don't we?
What do you mean?
Well, how can I put it while we're on air? That it's
Not quite legal.
it's not right.
No, I think Groupon just sell things at a discount.
That's it.
So I think you're buying a legitimate product. It's not illegitimate. It's a legitimate product at a sold at a discount. So
That's the people I buy mine from say the same. But I'm not sure, would Microsoft agree?
Well, you get a Microsoft number with it and you can ring
Yes,
Microsoft.
no, I know you do. No, I'm aware of that. I'm just putting a point in there, that's all. I'd be a bit nervous about that with our responsibilities here.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm the first to do that,
Yeah.
personally. But I feel the responsibility of
No, I
representing
understand that.
the village.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of companies put discount codes on to these sites. Sole purpose is getting people to buy their product. Shouldn't say when I was a kid we used to carry the things in the magazines which were for something we didn't want to buy and take to the shop and get the money for. So it's traditional in the UK.
It's British meanness. Oh, sorry, you're not British. Oh, you are British, sorry, yes.
So what would you prefer for me to do? Would you like me to look at Groupon and see if I can get the same thing of what we need cheaper? Or would you like me to stick with the...
Is this paying for cloud as well? Or not?
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Well, why do we use cloud? Why don't we just buy a
I
store?
don't think we do use cloud. I don't know what we do.
What's it?
I think it just comes as a package. They throw it all in, but that's their standard fee.
You can't pick and choose.
How much cloud
Not
for
really,
yeah.
no. They have slightly different levels of package, but that is, I think, now the
It says,
standard price.
But you can buy it the other way around.
It says we'll enjoy secure cloud storage and advanced stuff.
Everything's going to the cloud. But you could install our own server and
Yeah.
buy the software, but then you have to pay annual licenses for using the software. So
Or does it long?
and we have to back it up. So,
There again, if it's on cloud,
it's somewhere in Poland, probably.
yeah. But when we come to talk about the financial risks and everything that we say, there is a risk of putting it on cloud that the security of your information and other people's information is on cloud. Well, that can actually disappear, can't it, on cloud?
I mean, it would be hard because of the systems they put in place. I've been to so many data centers in my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, so the systems in Microsoft 365 are far and above anything our company could ever afford to do. It's just absolutely amazing what they have. Downside is that everyone's trying to hack them.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to hack me. Well, I don't think so. Okay, so it's just that they've added Copilot in.
Yeah. But I don't think there's an option to not have
No,
it.
yeah, it's one of those negotiations where you sign it and you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, Copilot is good just from a AI point of view because ChatGPT, everything you write on that is public domain,
Yes.
whereas Copilot is not. So. Cool.
And then we also have, it's not on the list, but I've got an email through in the last couple of days from the Play Inspection Company for £94.95, and whether or not you wanted me to contact a few others.
Do we know how we can actually...
It's an annual inspection.
Capability inspection.
It's a legality,
Yeah.
but that's a separate outfit already that do that.
Yeah.
They're not. Are they? Question is, I mean, are they government approved? Or is it just a company that's decided to set up checking these things for us and hopefully take the responsibility should something happen?
Yeah, so they've got all the details all of the they've got, which I think I've sent around, which has got the terms and the conditions, but also it talks about what they're responsible for, what we're responsible for. They go into quite a bit of detail.
See the carbon factor that
Yeah.
it looks country.
Quite detailed.
I'm always a bit cynical about things like that.
They are the company that ran the training course I went to with Compact. But they ran the training course for all parish councillors who did playground inspections.
So
So
we-
what you should be inspecting, how you should inspect it, and all the do's and don'ts and
Does that make you qualified, Peter?
So you can't
probably makes it more aware that most of you that.
charge them.
In many ways, Peter. In many ways.
So you can do like a weekly inspection for us, yeah.
I suspect as part of our liability insurance, it has to have been
Yeah.
inspected. Don't-
So do you want me to go with them or go with get some
With
more?
the attitude.
Was it probably good as
It's short of no, can't.
They've not said like it's due on a certain date, it'll be in the next month, I suspect.
My next thing would be spending your time, but to say,
This is the company that parish council has been for years.
yeah, so,
Yeah. Sorry, we're not contractors, are we? It's just
No, it's not.
Just, yeah.
It's no.
1 year.
And the post installation inspections that it's supposed to have done anyway. So when we had the wall done, we should have had it inspected. Even though a competent company fitted it, we're supposed to have it inspected. And the same with the springs that we didn't do. But now the company will do them.
There we go.
I thought we, at the time of doing the wall, I thought we discussed this and the company said that their licence for installing it covered us for that inspection. I thought we had that discussion.
Okay, we'll get a second opinion.
Well, we'll get the annual inspection done and then.
But you do get quite a comprehensive report from them, which should be in the should be.
So do you all approve the payments, including the claim? Yes.
Lisa? Yeah, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Interesting.
What was the next one? So the next one was JDH, who have been doing the internal audit for the last couple of years. And it's a kind of a fixed fee. It's 255 plus VAT.
With previous years.
It's about it.
Pretty much. Yeah, again, it's whether or not, I mean, he had it on his, he had us on his books for this year, so, just whether you're happy with.
Yeah.
When we change people, then they'll ask you questions. Questions. We know, so. But we asked all the questions.
Late in the day because it is year end.
The other thing about, I remember about that last year, they left it for the last second, which is not unusual for these companies, because there's a deadline and everyone has the same deadline, like tax return. And so you get it 12 hours before it has to be filed. And I think Amanda did have a bit of a problem with them. Just be aware that they probably need to manage you. That's
Nudged.
Nudge on a regular basis, unless you want to be up at 5 to midnight on
Please,
Saturday. That's
Yeah, we've got 20 parish councils to do on the same day.
Okay, so everyone is happy with that one. The next one was to confirm the annual fishing lease fees at Pickmere. So I've been told that a rough figure of 600 had been bandied about. And whether or not we wanted to do that for 3 years or 1 year.
There's one thing in there that I think is could be an issue, which in our contract to them, we think no fishing overnight. And all the fishermen I know fish overnight. And bivouac as well.
I did speak to him about this.
Did you really tell more? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thought about this, and I don't think that we should, you know, they've had it for, I was told by somebody the other day, and when I think about it, they've had it since I was a child, so it would be a shame in some ways to not let them have it, but I don't think they're managing it very well. That's just my personal opinion.
It's a new manager or
Yeah.
a new guy that's
Yeah.
stopping with them.
Where does he live?
I haven't got his.
Well, maybe instead of doing it for 3 years, we just do it for 12 months
Yeah.
and renew it on the go, review it and see, and say that it's dependent on your performance this next 12 months.
What did Colin say about the price?
He thought it was a fair sort of price.
I think maybe the issue with the overnight fishing, because on the other lake, they have got permission to overnight fish. And I wonder whether on the other parts of Pickmere Lake, because they have a co-owner.
They used to be, yeah, they used to be overnight fishing.
Yeah, so maybe that they just need to be clear with their people. The overnight fishing is not on our bit of the lake.
So, I mean, there has been those who shouldn't have even been fishing at all on our part. The majority still go to the right-hand side of the lake that are overnight fishing.
Why do we, what difference does it make? By not allowing them to fish overnight?
Well, disturbance probably. Disturbance probably. And also,
Who is it to serve?
Wildlife. Wildlife.
well, no different than the swimmers.
Yeah, but proper fishermen don't get whether they're, do you?
But our policy is that there's no access to that land other than on the public footpath out of hours. So to then have a different group who do have access to that.
During daylight hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the restriction is that we have to give access during daylight hours. Everything else that would be discretionary. So we could technically allow them. But I think on the point of noise, so on our side of the small lake, they're not allowed to fish. But I can still hear them because it's a flat piece of, it'll bounce off. If they can fish anywhere on that lake, we can hear them.
I think, I mean, to be truthful, I think that if you asked anybody who lives around the bottom would say that the swimmers still make far more noise, because even a lot of the fishermen fish on their own, so they're in a tent, you know, they lock themselves in overnight and just, but, you know, whereas swimmers, you know, are going out on the water talking to each other and you can hear it right across the other side of the lake.
But the problem is, we'll be
It's no, I agree.
it's true that it's really there, we'd like them to talk across them.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's not right, you know what I mean? I think for wildlife it's not right.
So last month when we talked about this, I thought one of the things we were going to put in the conditions was that we had a contact number for them, and if there were people breaching the rules, they would come, they would attend. We still put that in the conditions. I thought that was what we were
One
going
of the
to do.
bailiffs that actually lives in Pickmere, but yeah, well,
No, it's probably not very.
It's the problem. Sorry, Chris. The whole point of giving the rights to an angling club is that they then manage the water, as you say, and they manage that only people who are supposed to be there are there, and if people who aren't supposed to be there are there, that the bailiffs come down and move them on. That's the point of giving them the right and they're being bailiffs. So
We certainly did agree that. We should have that.
I think that should be on the
But I
Do
think
we have a contact number? Is this contact number for just for me? Is this a contact number that's put on like the pavilion? of people who just all
No, I don't think that, but I think we should know it. I do, yeah.
So that's one of the things as well, isn't it, that a councillor can challenge them.
Well, they need to appoint a bailiff, really.
Yeah, you think that. One of the other things that we're stipulating is that we've said no overnight fishing in line with our parking restrictions, and if you don't park in the spaces for the ILOts, well, there are no parking restrictions on those spaces.
At the moment.
Are you thinking that we should start putting parking restrictions on them again?
No. That was one of the things that came in the yellow lines.
But that's another discussion, so
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think we should be putting in stipulation that would stop us from putting in parking restrictions. Should that be the wish of the council? That's the whole point of saying in line with. So at the moment there isn't one, so it's in line. But if that changes, they have to be in line with it.
Trouble is, it says in line with the parking restrictions, which are,
Yeah, so
we're advising what the parking restrictions are.
Okay.
So
But
these are the old.
there are none advertised. So,
Yeah, so these are the old conditions
Yeah.
from like 2021. So it's whether or not you want to get rid of any
What are they?
ones. There's a bit of a list, there's quite a long list. It's,
I'm not reading the parking restriction.
that's on the list, isn't it, on one of the,
Yeah, so the point is it gives a time.
Time,
Give
There is
it
no.
and it's in line with doing like housing. It does take time.
you want to have that particular, you want no fishing at night time, between those times. And then if you do want to keep that, then you can remove the bits in brackets about parking, because that's not wrong.
Well, the line that we're discussing here says there shall be no fishing from the council's land between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. It doesn't say anglers will not access the land between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So are we saying they can camp there overnight but they can't fish?
No.
Or are we saying you can't go on the land between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m? Because I think we should be clear what we mean.
It does actually say.
The next line says,
No, like marking and something, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Okay.
there's quite a few, and they get quite detailed about certain containers or canisters, metal canisters and things. So it's something we can show.
But we're in that thing about bailiffs and giving us a phone number, which would only be shared with members of the council.
I don't think it should only be, I can't see how they go.
1 year at the 600.
Saying more, they must have their own rules.
Yes,
Yeah.
like all
So-
the clubs, yeah.
We just totally confusing everybody
No,
by
because,
adding
because
more rules.
because their rules might be different to our rules. They might allow overnight fishing on certain places.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what they
But it's not happening. That's what the confusion would rise.
Yes, that's the problem.
But that's them to amend that with them, I think.
Their rules. But also, I don't think that, I don't actually think plants are good for fishing. Yeah, there's no fishing, I think. So there's no.
Well, okay, that's the point, so, the people who are fishing.
Investigate that.
Yeah. Anyone got any other comments on the terms departments in the round of comments? Speaking of the next 24 hours, the whole building is you let them stuff them.
So it's the record, isn't it, that we've got to. It's in the minutes, then it's in.
Minutes anyway, but we don't have to have a vote. Okay. If you would like a vote, we'll have a vote. Okay, so the proposal is that we give sale angling club, 1 year licence for £600, but they need to manage the fishermen, appoint a bailiff, and give us a phone number where we can, members of the council can phone them if people are not following the rules that we have set. Okay, so can I have a proposer? Second? Okay, those four? Okay, unanimous? Okay.
6.5. So my hours went up last month, and they are likely to go up again this particular month. I got through the internal audit checklist. And last year there were 28 items on it, and this year there is 37.
You won't need to take over the
items.
invoice this month. Would that help? I don't mind. Or for the next 2 months. Do you want me to take it back? Or would you rather do it and be on, being, you know, in
I think the additional like hour or two that the invoices take would still mean that I'm still for this year, for this to do the audit, to get that all the finances. But yeah, absolutely appreciate.
You want me to do it? Because I don't mind.
It may be that as I'm doing the finances, it's not very balance.
And then when you got the end of year, so
You can, if you're happy to.
I don't mind.
I don't mind.
You would make it simple or difficult.
I don't want to confuse you, you know, me going and doing it. It's, or does it not make that much difference, really?
Well, you still need the numbers for year end.
So the invoices for the next month won't impact the year end.
So with the year end,
It's from to the end of March. So it's the end of March, so it shouldn't impact the figures. It's something not to have to think about though.
I'm
Absolutely right.
if everybody's happy with that.
But yeah, in general, regardless of just even not having to do my usual things, it's a lot of extra.
Yeah, okay.
For the month.
So,
Aye.
Lucy, I suppose I'm just wondering, I suppose as the year goes on, there are these little things, just all the finances. But you know, there are these various bits that come along that have to be done that sort of clearly within that month chew up sort of extra. And I suppose we've sort of been going through a period of you getting to know the systems that will have taken extra time, doing additional learning and courses that will have taken extra time, and then things like the year-end audit that takes extra time. Do we have an idea of how, you know, there's no such thing as a normal month, but how, you know, how many hours is a normal month, and then how much of the extra time is extra time, and do you think that really spread over the year, every month needs more time than you're currently getting, and then there's additional on top of that, or do you know, can we work out sort of an average for each month and do it that way, or you know, what do you think? Because you're the one who's on top of the hours that you're doing and what's needed.
Yeah, so I would generally say there has been, most of the time I am doing over my hours. There's been times when I've done, you know, more because I had to catch up on certain things. So at the beginning there was a whole load of emails to get on with, and then there was all the finances once I finally got on the bank. So sometimes there's been ups and downs like that. I have another clerk role, which is also 35 hours. In that role, though, there is no assets. So there is no managing of getting quotes, there's no managing of getting invoices, and in terms of the finances, there's a few payments each month rather than what we have. So the inputting of finances is a lot more here. So generally, this is more than a 35.
So, but there are opportunities there if we wanted to keep it to 35. There are opportunities where councillors can take some of that burden off you.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, it depends in terms of quotes and things. I would say the biggest thing from my hours generally are doing things for the meetings, doing things for, so that's the agenda, the minutes, and the meeting itself. It would be correspondence is a huge thing with Pickmere. Like one of the books for me, and also the finances. So the finances, we have a lot of payments, a lot more than
So,
again.
Just wondering whether we have a staffing subcommittee. I wonder whether this is something that, rather than just because we all this in full council meeting publicly, whether the staffing subcommittee should sit down with you, look through, try and work out what's a reasonable sort of, baseline to be at, and then feed back to council rather than having this discussion about your job. That's just basically, in a sort of public forum. I don't know if that's a better.
I've had a separate RFO. There's been the clerk, and then we also have a separate person as an RFO.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Does that actually help? Because very often when you're dealing with diverse subjects, having some of those subjects being also handled by somebody else can add to the load, can't it? Because when you're doing it yourself, you're in charge of everything and you've got it in your head. And I'm speaking personally here, people offer to help me in business, and actually it's been much easier to do it myself and quicker.
It can make it longer because you have to explain something or you have to go through the process twice, possibly. Some councils prefer it as the actual RFO, and clerk prefer. Some people just don't want to do anything to do with finances. Some people just really don't want to do anything with correspondence. And so
Well, without looking to keep everybody else, I mean, at the end of the your advice on your experience that we need to be guided by to make it as efficient as possible.
I wouldn't know in this moment what. I mean, I don't have a certain preference, and it has to be. I only want to do one, and I wouldn't know what particular amount of hours it should be. Not necessarily saying I want to change it, but at all months. But for this month, it just
We
wanted
could do it, we could bang on about this, but we could do it budgeting to some degree, so we're not caught unawares, and rather budget above rather than below, of course, which is what we're doing at the moment.
So I did in the budget initially, so it wasn't so each of the hours, but each month wasn't. And this time it was a little bit more.
So it's a bit like extras too then.
But that unit bills were going up as well. The actual number of units, in this case, is just
but the clerk has been hired on a specific role. So you've got your role,
but we haven't split the two roles for long. I mean, Jack was both, Amanda was both, she's both. So
Was Julie Jack's
that was
firm? It's not when, I think when Jack first started, there was a secretary. Yeah.
You said it wasn't It wasn't the end.
No, at the end, and then that person belongs to the council. So it then went to Jack.
But then the other point is that, Amanda did more than her hour. I know that's true. I think Jack. So we have amazing. And we do have more assets than a village of this size would normally have.
Absolutely.
So I think, yeah, for now, let's carry on with the we'll call a employment committee. We'll sit down and see what we can do. There is one of the agenda items is about who's the as the partners, which will be answered in the closed session. That's the whole purpose of that.
Then there was a fix.
Sorry, just for a moment. So at this point here, then we are agreeing that we're going to pay you for the extra hours you've given.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no one disagreeing with that, are there? Just so that we can get that. Yeah. Fine. Okay.
And then we'll look at how we can improve it and distribute it, whatever.
Yeah. I've got timesheets from the very beginning.
I don't think anyone's questioning.
To like have that regularly checked. Yeah, just see how we do.
But you're right. Pickmere has always been a very correspondence-led village.
Oh,
I don't get many letters.
Email.
Emails.
and you still getting a lot.
Not as many as they used to be.
It's not generally mainly from residents. There are from some residents. It's just from everywhere, I guess.
Is there anybody, particularly obviously we talk about it, that if you was asked by the council to desist, would that help?
Well, we've done that in the past. We've had to do it in Lucy's time,
Right.
where we had a lot of vexatious email, and those people were told to email me and not the clerk, and that did stop it in most cases.
Right. I remember now you say yes.
But I have to say, in the last, since Lucy took over, we haven't seen the volume or the vexatiousness at the level that it was prior to the end of the previous time.
So we're going to organise them.
Yes, we should do that. We can work out what's taking the time and what's peaks and drops.
So then we had the fixed asset register, 6.6. And I've got a few things back, which was to remove the owl. We don't have the owl.
Around a long time ago.
And then, I think your comment on the traffic cones, I have added them on another fixed assets. As they are something that I've purchased and spent money on, and we would have to replace if we wanted to get more. So technically, even if it's, it's not that much, but it's also being on the asset register.
Is that something accounting is? We started off with the number we bought. As Peter has said, they do disappear over time, some of them at least. Is there a way of them writing down their value in terms of assets, do you know what I mean? So that, you know, so we start with 50, we end up with 39, you know, is there a way of sort of doing that, registering the fact that this is
Length of time that the
Depreciation.
No, in councils there's no depreciation.
it's,
It's not, there's no depreciation. That is,
there's a lifespan.
yeah,
Yeah.
but as long as it has a year to go, it has to be on there. So you're right, if you buy a computer, right, over 5 years. If the council buys a computer, they can't write it up. So the computer either exists or it doesn't, it's binary.
Yeah.
So if the codes did go away, but it can't today, they're all there. Then we could reduce the number.
So we would just do that on an annual basis. When we get to this point, we say, there aren't money doing well, there are 36, and we just record we have 36. That would be the process.
These are cones we've bought rather than
Yeah.
cones that we got from council at HAGUE.
Yes.
And they're really heavy, so they're really hard to do. Not like the ones we got for free. But, yeah. But I had 3 on my drive that I bought 2 years ago, and someone picked those overnight. Yeah, they are very popular now.
So are we keeping the defibrillator at the Red Lion? Is that ours? Yeah. And was there anything else other than the owl that you wanted taking off?
I thought it's
Speed signs, no?
Well, the speed sign, well, we still got one.
Oh, yes,
They're still there.
it's still there.
Worthless. Can we plug them? eBay.
eBay.
Or somewhere.
Sell.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook.
So, not sold.
Like it's making a fortune.
So this, the
The
speed
battery
side,
was-
uninstalled speed signs.
Yeah.
So are we keeping them on the list?
Yeah, but then,
You'll try and sell them.
yeah, if we got some, then we're done. That's never stopped you before, right? I've got all that other stuff.
It was, there's no keys for them.
Keys.
I tried with Amanda, it's let him loads of keys and gave me loads of keys for them. But
So
we
you
can't
need
find
yeah.
any keys for them.
But these are complete keys. Hey, listen, look, advertising with no keys. Okay, so we're happy with the register. Moving on, planning matters. Yeah. Over to our planning official.
Oh, sorry, can I go back to that? It was just to have a look at the, and I didn't add it in to the actual agenda, but it was the risk assessment. And whether anyone managed to have a look at
Oh, yes, but the fight for here.
it. No, for the parish council.
The financial risk assessment, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was to do with the loss of paper and
Yeah.
electronic records.
Yeah, so-
Then you did mention previous clerks, threw lots of paperwork away and deleted the computer. When we asked about going back, that he said,
Yeah.
yeah, that you have no access to, which is again, if it's on the cloud, it should be there, but
Well, there's the box, which I now have access to.
Oh, yeah, she used the box,
The
didn't she?
box, so I'm starting to find, which is where I found this. I'm starting to find things on there, rather than on the laptop. So that's,
is the box in the cloud?
the
Box
box,
is in the cloud, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually what I thought about. So the box belongs to a person. If that person closes that box, that information will no longer be. So we probably need to move it.
So we presumably have a Microsoft OneDrive as part of our Office 365. So it's whether it shall be moved to there.
Migrated.
Migrated.
Technical term.
Anyone know about flash drive?
No.
It was just in the, there was a payment for last year
Oh, the last one.
from the clerk.
Like a fund drive sort of thing.
It's just
a
flash
stick,
drive.
isn't it?
Yeah,
I didn't know if that had some stuff on it.
that sort of thing, isn't it?
Flash dropping.
Yeah.
I'll ask whether she had that maybe. But it could be, I think, we download everything off the box onto a hard copy. And also get.
No, it's not restricted that one.
It's good. I think just from percolating around what I've got left in there. So, is it not worth pursuing this last right? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll contact them out there.
Assuming I get back.
Retaining sticks like that, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Standards, something like
It can't be very much.
£15.
it just depends on the size of the project as to how much you pay for them.
But you could spend £100 to get an infinite drive.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
It could be
it's not
some
that.
useful documents.
Okay. But
Yeah.
we do need to migrate this. That would be natural. But anyone can do that. Then we get that out.
Next one. Goods not supplied but billed. It's in the risk assessment. Down the bottom somewhere.
So down, about halfway down the second page.
Good, not supplied.
But it has happened.
It has happened.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Not built. See, yeah. I don't think it was built,
It was paid for.
but it wasn't built. It was, the only document that exists is a quotation. Anything else was a donation from the council company. There's no invoice, there's no request for payment. It was just done. So,
It's just within
It is, yeah.
how the risk assessment was circumvented, wasn't it?
That's not our,
No, but it's proves it can be done, and the risk assessment is not
Yes, right.
robust enough.
And I might add, thinking my mind, it has a bit of a whiff about it.
but it does, I mean, we discussed this in a different, but what we need to find out is if where's the confirmation to pay, because there should be one.
how do we word our risk assessment to avoid that in future?
But it would be unauthorised payments.
There is something further
Yes,
down.
that's-
There's payments.
Yeah, in this case, it wasn't like, send us an invoice or something. It was just that we seem to have spontaneously paid them.
But then again, lots of paperwork's been thrown away. In the past.
Nothing to,
When that was paid, was that something that was the current bank account in place?
Yeah.
Where you had to have two people from this?
So,
yeah, we go back to, but that's the safeguard, is that
You can find out
Well,
what's going to.
can't pay, and councillors can't set up. That's meant to be council iron. But quite clearly,
What payment was it, please?
the donation to the fence company.
Donation to the fence club. Oh, yeah. 2 signatures, I'm interested to know something like
So our procedure is that the clerk, so the procedure is that we vote on something in council to authorise it. The clerk would then raise the payment and then 2 councillors as signatories would have to approve the payments, all done electronically within the bank account.
And it has to be an invoice.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
So it could be.
But I'm sure that
I
all the
generally-
councillors know about it as well, don't you think so? I don't want to think it.
Generally set up a payment, I then email
Yeah.
the authorisers and usually attach the invoice, or whatever it's.
So if that procedure is followed, then it's robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that mean our existing procedure is adequate, or
But it may have been robust. What is missing is the documentation to demonstrate the robustness of it.
I see. So that documentation might exist, we just don't have it now.
Because all we're doing at the moment is reviewing the financial regulation to see if they're fit for purpose, aren't they? Yeah.
Yes, so that's what I'm questioning then,
Yeah.
as you did
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Is it fit for purpose?
Fine.
And we think it is. We don't know that it wasn't followed previously.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay.
We have to hope that it was.
I see, yeah.
And so, yes, so even people that set payments are not people that pay payments. But that doesn't stop collusion between 2 people to defraud the company.
Yes.
I'm not saying that.
No, suggest that not.
But it's all factors to make sure that people come up.
Or no single person.
Set up their own, I mean, and you see fraudulent companies, that tends to be what happens. Somebody in finance has set up and paid their own themselves.
Yes, yeah,
They shouldn't be able to do.
yes. And we can't do that here. And a single person can't do that here. So, okay. So this is robust in that way. Okay.
Thank you. No way you don't have. People who are married as the 2 signatories, because again, that would get best. Anyway.
So if I change all that, is everyone okay with it? Two planning, one, and then one that was missed. 2 more close. So we have Holly Horse Park and we have 2 more close. Holly House Park is the replacement of an existing shed and a greenhouse with a single story garage.
Opposite the post office. Opposite the post office.
Next door to Rose Cottage. Well, it's narrow. Well, if you look in the drive, the shed and the greenhouse against the fence, so
Just have a
the
look.
2
The DPD can.
Is your road the one behind there?
Yes. That's not it.
on the page, the usual of
Neighbours consideration.
names consider what names have got to say.
The name's got to say.
Well, the only got neighbours at the back.
Two bungalows and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying at the back of them. They've got-
Yeah.
I think there was a building there was a building there initially because I've just found it straight away on the. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a shed and a green.
Yeah. So I'm doing is knocking it down and rebuilding.
So this building looks to be bigger square footage, but not quite as high.
Yeah.
And then the second one was 2 Main Close, which is a 2-story rear extension.
So I haven't seen this because I've not seen the updated agenda with it on. And the other thing is-
Is it on Park Lane too, Main Close?
No, they're close.
Yeah.
I don't think so, man. So,
So it's
again,
so I said to you, yeah.
not big fun.
It needs an awful lot of work doing to it. As you go in, it's on the left hand side. As you go into May Close, it's on the left hand side, going straight ahead.
And what do we need to know about it, Peter? Because I'm not going to be able to look at it. No.
Oh, right. It's what was looked to be double garage on the
Yeah.
right hand side of it. That's wasn't actually a garage, weren't they?
No, we weren't.
They had previously been converted. They carried on being converted, and
The
then
majority of them.
an extension on the back to like they say if the number of car parking spaces is going to be maintained.
It's
I think that
bedroom house.
it was 3 or 4, it would be a 4 thing.
So given that, you know, if they've so many bedrooms, you've got to have
Yeah.
so many parking spaces, they won't have parking spaces.
Oh, depends what they do. Depends. So, but again, it's take into consideration any comments from neighbours. Because it is quite, it's a block, isn't it? The old backing.
Most of them are built on.
Then
Most of them have got extensions on their close.
wouldn't you then say though that planning is subject to them proving that they've got a park?
Well, it's that cost.
No, that's up to, no, that's up to planning. That's up to planning.
I only think the issues of the village planning to say parking, parking for the non-pedicures. Yeah, we can't. We're here to. We're back to influence them. We can't. We've got really all right.
And again, it's big take into consideration what the neighbours have got to say as well.
So I'm sure they can.
How it impacts them.
Okay.
I think all these were details, I think that's been approved. It's the,
The land off Sphinx Lane was approved.
that was approved. Oh, that was conditions, wasn't it?
It's the two drainage.
Yeah, so most of them conditions, we don't get involved in conditions because it's gone through planning and all we're doing is verifying that they've complied with the plan.
I don't know whether it's still there, but there was a car dumped on Sphinx Lane with no tax or insurance. And I did email John Millman about it and never had a reply from him, which I was a bit disappointed about.
They can't.
So,
Is it still there?
well, it was a couple of weeks ago when I emailed him. I don't know if it's still there now.
Whereabouts in Scotland?
I'll tell you I've got the registration number.
Was
Just,
it on the lane itself or
Yeah.
south of it?
well, down the track. But on Sphinx Lane, yeah, just to the side, so it's been around.
I'll bet the dog will walk through something.
It's arrived overnight.
This is going to
The caravan that fell off the mountain.
No, I'm waiting.
You don't have to go and look for it.
Yes.
Cool. Right. So, moving on to update on actions for Putin. Back to the park.
So unless, yeah, if anyone has any questions, I guess the main very last, it's outside light, there's some window damage, which we're going to be getting quotes for. We've got some quotes for, sorry, the outside light, as well as the electrical survey. We'll hopefully get some soon. The electrician was on.
Of replacing the outside light now.
I'm going to change the light.
Well, it's still on.
Yeah. You sound lovely.
The window damage, do we know if it was malicious or accidental?
I think it's water damage. So it looks like to me.
Oh, so it's the window frame rather
Yeah,
than...
it's the one that was nearest to the super badly positioned, isn't
So where was there? Not with it.
it? It's got damp.
Here.
I don't know, what did your...
Have you figured? Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So we got quotes on that. It's not, I mean, it's not.
No, I don't think it's malicious, I think it's just,
Just-
just
Been for about 3 years, haven't
yeah.
it? Those are front. They were replaced.
The end guarantee with them.
Well, possibly, but it's got damage.
Yeah. Probably 3 or 4 years. They were done.
Was it done by donation? Wasn't it?
No,
Yeah,
Oh, that's
they pay for them.
sorry, but sorry for you. I think,
Was maybe in the last year that they were here.
is it Northbridge? Is it Northbridge Plant? Go and do that.
So if we look through the minutes, it will be there to be found.
Can you know it off the top of your head?
I do remember it, yes. But I couldn't tell you the name of the company that it used. Not off the top of my head.
The next one is the sensor light, which was offered to be installed, but hasn't. I just wanted to it's in my phone.
I remember mentioning that I might do it, but Aaron had also mentioned I can't remember this.
And then you said that, well, now you're moving or something, or there's something to it.
Yeah, no, neither. Okay.
So,
I need to get the light off here now.
yeah, well, what we sort of agreed is the light's going to go into that thing over there. And then once it's there, the client's going to let us know. So, and I'm happy to do it, but if someone else wants to rush up here with a drill, that's fine. But we just need to get it done. Can we disconnect that light?
It can be turned off.
Yeah, so just turn all the lights up.
No, it's in.
Okay. So just, it annoys me every time I see it, especially at night. Is it LED today?
Don't take the bulb out.
It's LED.
Sorry, that's turning it round.
You can take it out, but you just put it on the light. Because,
It's broke itself and it wasn't replaced in 15 quid.
There was a fire assessor to do the risk assessment this Friday. They cancelled that and rescheduled for the 8th, hopefully. We still haven't Tuesday yet. So hopefully that'll happen. And there's a meeting for the 3 parishes and the highways, which we're still waiting on dates from them to come back on.
Yeah, you did say week commencing the 14th, and it has been again today. Yeah, but when that week?
but it'll probably have to be in winter.
Well, the only time we could sit was on Friday. Or I've asked him for like how long he thinks it's going to take. You know, his presentation, he's going to do a presentation. What he's going to do, and obviously he wants to say, well,
No, Friday, I think. The cheese and wine. My concern would be that if we get overall from winter as well, that's big enough. Okay, cool.
let's just drop in.
Well, just turn Fridays works for us.
Elections.
Link group?
Yeah, we
Yes,
need a meeting.
in a meeting. Yeah, we need to have a meeting, but I thought we were getting nothing on the bylaws. I thought that was what we said, was that you
No, as a,
I think it's good to talk to Lucy,
yeah.
but we don't have to do
Yes, well,
something
we can have them.
I'm sorry, yeah, do it about the environmental side. Yeah.
No, well, we can, I'm happy to meet up with everybody. Should we meet up this week?
Yeah, should we schedule it after this meeting?
Yeah.
We'll do it before, definitely do it before next council meeting.
Yeah, of course, yeah, I'm happy to do it. I mean, I'm flexible, well, I'm flexible, Chris is fairly flexible, you're flexible.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you get 3 people, that's
Yeah, well, well, I think you're right.
Sam's the fourth, isn't it?
But I think it's probably a bit more working in with you.
I'm less flexible.
Yeah, that's just fair. So I think we'll.
When is Simon away when Simon back?
He's away.
I think that's. With messaging companies.
okay. But the chairman, vice chairman, voting members, so
Chris was on anyway.
Yes,
so we need 3.
yeah, so we'll get through.
Yeah. And if we need a spare one, then sure.
Yeah, okay.
So, good. Because we do need to.
I agree, yes, we do. But we'll get it in. So,
Okay, so everything from the updates. Okay, so next one's report. So item 1 was consider a request to establish a mental health support group, which comes from one of the residents of the village. I assume everyone's seen the report.
Different emails then.
Now, this resident has some, is he a professional?
So they have a qualification in the area.
Okay.
Well, that I think, yeah. I think as an idea, it's something that I think it's really good. Do all we can to encourage to get it up and running. But I think one of the problems is things like insurance. Yeah. Especially in the area that they want to set up.
So, how are they wanting the council to help them?
To give them the village hall.
Well, actually, not just, we're happy with the development.
Because obviously the village hall is more difficult, isn't it? Because obviously it's used quite a lot.
Okay.
But yeah.
One of the assets that we're using. But I mean, as Husband says, the issue that I foresee is it doesn't matter whether it's a volunteer group or not, there has to be insurance when it comes under our insurance. And I'm not sure our insurance would stretch the mental health support is a serious thing. So I'm not sure that we could use our insurance to back it around.
They'd have to rent it for a sort of like very nominal fee then, wouldn't they?
Well, no, because that liability.
We need to be sure that the people we're renting it to have necessary qualifications, insurance, indemnity.
Definitely insurance indemnity.
Well, I mean, if they did it, can we go back to that, just say, look, you've got these,
So that it's not something that it's not they've got, and it's not something that they're going to get.
I do know this is that there's certainly lots of these clubs and working people's groups that are mental health groups that, there's one in Northwich, there's been lots of suicides, certainly men's mental health in Northwich, and lots of groups set up. And I don't think that they set up with qualifications, so I'd be interested in to know how they set up.
But I think, in my mind, it's not the biggest issue here. Usually it's insurance.
I think they're more talking groups, aren't they, than somebody
Well, sure.
counselling somebody.
Yeah, but I'm not sure this isn't what this is.
That might also be a men's, men's, women's, anybody talking who they just want people to talk,
Men's sheds.
It is that type of thing, yeah.
But it could be just to actually identify it as a Pickmere. It could be held in the corner of the pub.
It could.
It could be, but I think it's pretty difficult. So,
Yeah.
start discussing your mental health issues. Well, anyway, but it's not what I would do.
I think it's a really lovely thing, and if it was a bit like, I don't know, saying, for example, sitting in a circle and talking, and you think, well, that really can't do any harm, but you don't know what it's triggering, do you?
But we need to believe it, we don't think we can do anything about it.
No.
I will go to it,
Yeah, so I think we need to find a little bit more about it, how it's going to operate, and what any liability there would be at most.
Could we ask our insurance?
Well, I think that could be a way forward. I mean, my thought would be, it's a good idea, I'd like to see it happen, but they need to be insured.
And, are they going to advertise it in a way that, if anybody with a mental health problem come to us, because then, people shy away from it, don't they? It's but that's their
Yes,
problem, isn't it? So,
they do.
yeah.
What we need to do is we give them, because we get extra values by giving them the whole.
Yes.
That's like donating money to the cause. So we need to also say they have insurance. If our insurance will cover it, if not, then they can bring money. Maybe somebody in the village would be interested in donating to that insurance. I don't know how much that insurance would cost, but we do have experts in the village who know about insurance.
Do you know that? Do you know anybody that would to even set up a group?
I've no idea. Yeah, I don't know. But any event needs insurance. Doesn't matter whether it's paid for, not paid for. Yeah.
So, the question is, have they asked, in what way have they asked? Just, and they set up a group, no detail.
There's some detail with the person's background and what they want to do. Not a huge amount
But
of
then
detail, but
there's
some
something, for
detail.
example, space to do it, that belongs to the village.
No, that's what that's exactly what the request. Their request is: can they have either the village hall or the pavilion, or three for their sessions?
Okay.
That's what they're asking
Yeah.
for. And I think the stumbling block is insurance, isn't it? There needs to be.
Yeah.
I think it's something we'd love to support, but we can't support it. We can't take on the liability for it.
So I would think that they just wanted the, not the queued off the wrong word, to be able to call it the Pickmere group or not, and then they do their own thing. But obviously not, because of...
Okay, so the action is we'll go back and say that we're supportive. We'd like to offer an asset for their use, but we have to come over the insurance policy. And in the meantime, we'll check with our insurers to see whether that is. And maybe we could tell the format of, if it's literally people getting together and talking, that's a different proposition to Emerson, which I don't think it is.
You don't think it is? You
No,
think it
not
is?
mine. Conversations I've seen and had on the email.
So just you said that you don't think it's counselling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what Jane said, it sounded like she thought you were saying that it was
Yeah.
counselling.
We all see the email.
Apart from you, Jen.
I've been on it, then I'm sorry.
Okay.
Got back up holiday in March.
So next agenda item is ideas for the proposed demolition. So notwithstanding the issue that we discovered talked about earlier, that it's difficult to put money through the council for a specific reason.
It's a bit of a responsibility from the posts. We not only got a response from the post, but I also got one or two people offering their views as well. I think the ones that we got via Pickmere Press and email to Lucy
was looking for the contribution to the fence repair on Pickmere Lane, which is the black and white Cheshire railings, which unfortunately we can't do because we've already approached them and the Cheshire Easts, and there's nothing that we can do about them.
Other than, so when we had a chat with our friends at Highways, and we were talking about the signs, they were quite happy for us to pay for them, and they put them up. So it could, that is what he said.
Oh, sorry, no. When we talked about the village gates, though, they weren't happy for that because they then would be left having to look after them in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know what the situation here is. These railings exist, they're already a state, they're owned by Cheshire East.
So if
we raise money to replace them, would they accept that, or would they say, oh no, we don't want to then be responsible for looking after them in the future?
Yeah.
And then if they already exist, you know.
To maintain.
Okay, well, we don't want that. But I think it might be worth a conversation with them if somebody raised money to repair that. Seems just so cash strapped. We could take the donation and do it.
Can they accept a donation that is directed towards a specific project like that, though? Because we've just discussed that.
I don't know.
That.
Well, they've got loads of lawyers looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just probably.
The next one was a fixed football post on the PARISH, because the portable one that my neighbour donated does get moved about a bit, doesn't it?
It does, it gets used though.
It does.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually sent an email to the town, said I'd be happy to get some prices for next agenda, if people agree.
So, there was another email around those court posts. I don't know if that was circulated widely, but one resident did complain about the portable, saying that it was potentially stopping the air ambulance. But I don't, I think the people on the field will probably stop the ambulance from landing, and they normally land in Platts Field. They have landed once, haven't they?
Basis field last time, so the next one up, you know where the little yellow balloon is, so they landed on there last time.
I mean, they do get used.
So is that another one that we can then add to our list of potential projects?
Well, so just if you think about any sort of field or playing field that you go on where they've got fixed goalposts, the area around the goalpost gets totally destroyed in terms of the grass and the land. And not just that there's no grass there, you end up with a real dip in that area. So that's fine if people are aware of that and want that. As they are at the minute where they move around, no bit of the field gets destroyed by them. So they work well. I understand the point about the air ambulance, but it's not the only flat space where the air ambulance.
We're keeping the portable ones, we can just bob them about.
And the kids are moving around anyway, so.
Got an event on that field that if they had permanent goalposts, that it might actually interfere with actually having an event on the field.
It could also interfere with cutting the grass.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't think this then is in the first place.
I think this is great. The kids are using it a lot more all the time. You go down.
Right, so we'll take across the fixed football post off.
They actually have the mobile ones on, with the greens on Clover Drive. Because the sort of lads carrying them up Clover Drive last week.
I've seen someone doing that as well.
Yes, yeah.
They put them from their home and put them there.
They weren't the ones from down at the Iros.
They're
They were walking up Clover Drive with setting up the post.
Well, we had a couple of sets, that we used to carry on the field, but
the next one was an idea of a memorial statue at the top of Clover Drive. Thinking of a war memorial statue.
So I don't know, we've discussed that, we decided we're going to do that.
Yeah, somebody, one of the residents have actually said, yeah.
I think we'd already discussed that we were doing that though.
But that's what we've done with the focus group.
Yeah, that's what I think,
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That was a potential for making a project as a project. And the next one that was said to me was a new notice board for the village hall, a freestanding one put back at the front where one used to be, if we wanted to include that.
Where at the front? I don't remember why.
It used to be on the side of the hedge.
Outside the hedge.
Yeah. No, it's inside the hedge. Yeah, it's inside the hedge, just there.
A bit like with the church.
Yeah.
I actually think that's great.
So that people walking along see, rather than thinking, oh, there's no store there and walk in there.
It also helps with people coming to look for the village hall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you could have the village hall notice. Or
Well, what happened to the one that was there initially?
It rotted and fell apart and the remains of it are on the wall.
Oh, the remains are on the wall.
Yeah.
You can take it off the wall.
No, it's rotten now, isn't it, to be showing its age.
But then we've got a nice one right in the middle. Certainly, I don't think the majority of the village would walk this way. The two walk down Park Lane. But it's an idea.
Back to the left. Yeah. Yeah. You could have a thought. Can that go on the list of possible projects?
I think so, but it's.
Well, you know, have you, Chris?
But I think the,
It's something that we can go and look at.
these are meant to be ideas for people to donate to.
Yeah.
I will not be donating to another site post, but other people might want to donate to it.
The last one was the creation of a private seating area at the pavilion.
the private seating area.
The grassed area outside the pavilion, either putting some fencing, some barbed, something to make it so that it is owned or it's private.
I know where you're coming from. I've had the discussion, and I think something came up where you had the my mouthful. Posts, for want of a better word, with maybe rope round type
Yeah.
thing. Was
To fence it off,
yeah. I get
or to barrier it off in some way.
That's not going to work.
No.
I just don't understand what way we're making it.
It was just, I don't know, it was just that something that was said to me, that they wanted to try and make this area.
And I'm pretty sure there's a from bid us from erecting up from the jetty.
the jetty up there.
I was thinking just simply stones, whitened stones.
That's good.
Yeah.
And it shows, I've said this many times before and I'll keep on saying, the place needs to look as though it's owned,
Yeah,
rather than previous times where it was just, you know, it doesn't matter throwing rubbish down. That shows it's owned.
But it will make it.
And not a lot people can do, can they, you know. Can we get sued for them stubbing the stone?
Yes. Right, yeah. Because I always had the idea that the video could actually put a
Like a cricket.
cricket pavilion face around it.
it's cricket.
All you'd be doing is something for the residents, for everybody else who just wants to get on doing it right.
Oh, we can down that.
Is it having a cricket team?
I want to.
Sunday teas. I'm going to that now.
Extra points for hitting a swimmer.
Well, that's
Allegedly. Film them in the lake.
that's all the feedback that I've got. The notice that went into Pickmere Lake then. So just to go through that, we've got a contribution to the fence repair that needs to be checked with highways. And the memorial statue at the top of Clover Drive, and the possible renoticeable village hall. So we've got 3 items then as Five Council, we can say to residents, we've got these 3 projects. Haven't we? Yeah,
Well, we did put it out, didn't we?
we did, so we do need to put something else out to say that these are the projects. I can get some notice board quotes, if you like.
The lest we forget is going to come up in my little talk about the
Yeah, I was going to say, I've got quotes for
DDRs as well.
statutes. So yeah, then we can feed that back in the next Pickmere Fest as well. We can get the answers from that way. And then that's another, these are our projects, what do you want to donate to? Okay? Thank you very much for that.
Much of it, yeah, feed day.
I'm a bit stuck with this guys because May is very difficult for me for various reasons, but I am away from around that's yes from the 11th. But I've got things that might happen the weekend that we would probably hold something. You know, if we do something and a resident suggested a picnic, and to tie it in with perhaps this, lest we forget, plant trough. Is that what you were thinking of? Oh,
Mine's just a statue.
well,
Got some quotes for various sizes of statue.
this was a big, like a metal plant stand, so we put things in with the soldiers, and it says "lest we forget" across it.
Yeah.
And
The resident Wendy.
yeah, well, I didn't like to, yes, she suggested that, which the prices are about 70 quid or something, but they're all of a muchness. But maybe we could tie it in with that, or maybe when it comes to November, tie that in. But, you know, I don't mind. But, I mean, what do people think? Because I can get the ball rolling on something for VE Day, but I might not be there. And people have to be able to come in.
I think a picnic's an easy thing though, Lorraine. I don't think you need.
Have you seen the VE Day for councils?
No.
It's from together.org or to. I couldn't afford to print their copies out for everybody now, I've got enough ink in the cartridge. But those are the sorts of things that they were suggesting that we do. But to be honest with you, I think we might be away as well.
So I think that's the point, is saying is,
Who's he?
is anyone else prepared to help out?
But what day are you thinking? Because if it's a Sunday, I'm out.
It probably will be the Sunday. It's the weekend. So it'll either be the Saturday or
Saturday's okay for me, but Sunday.
So on this, they're suggesting
The 8th.
Well, the 8th is Thursday.
they're suggesting here
On the
that
bank
bank
holiday.
holiday on the 5th,
Yeah.
On the 5th, or before it.
on Monday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? But it's a few weeks away, isn't it?
You don't have to have an event as such, the market, I mean, all sorts of ways, so we've got a respect there of the day.
Yeah, you know, coming back to drop. But it's a case of, yeah.
I mean, is it worth getting to the community group and seeing when they have any volunteers to support?
Now, we do have some money, because what was left from the coronations, I think there's about, I need to check, got all the figures, but I think it might be about 3. So, I could buy some stuff for the kids or whatever. But it's not going to be brilliant. I mean, I will put something together and hopefully I'm here.
I mean, there weren't loads of children last time anyway, because if it's bank holiday, you've got to think that it could be children's holidays. So if it's children's holidays, there could be lots of children.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it won't be half Sunday. So it's a bank holiday weekend, but not.
Yeah. And, yeah. If you want, I will do it, and I'll get the ball rolling from tomorrow, but I do need some help. If I can't, I have a personal thing that just may happen at the beginning of May, and I've no job. We've already committed.
Well, that's just maybe context of the debate, whether they have somebody who knows. And do it that way. And then if we know we've got help.
I mean, like an unofficial picnic where people just bring the food and get together.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
If you look there to try and organise a, yeah, you can have a big event, isn't
I
it?
can't be doing games and stuff, no, it's just who.
What would the outcome be to have this? You're talking about a planter. Have this planter, planted and unveiled that day. Would that be what we're talking about, or is that not going to happen?
When you were saying about the, where were we going to put it?
Well, that was to be discussed, but I mean, I thought that would have been nice at the top, but.
But originally, it was going to be at the end of Clove Drive.
You see, if we have it down on the Iris, I don't think it stands much chance of surviving.
But putting it though at the top of Clove Drive, are you going to impede grass cutting?
Well, that area will become a memorial bit.
Yeah, I was thinking if we had like a memorial corner, I know it won't be anything like Wincham, but it could,
No, but
it could evolve. It could evolve.
It's two offices.
Yeah, but things like that. Or even on the other side.
We'll get some to agenda points.
Yes.
Okay.
Without taking
So, are we doing VE Day or are we doing Remembrance Day? Would that be better to just do it?
I think we just like read, if we can get some traction in the village, that will go to help. But there's definitely going to be in. Otherwise, we should try and unveil our memorial garden on Armistice Day.
Yes.
Although not loads of flowers around in November.
Well, that's
There
the
are
new
some-
cutting after them in a planter.
Well, I think you were suggesting.
No, sorry. I've been away most of the summer. I'm away for a month.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
once it's up and running.
Yeah. The only problem is, when I planted plugs, for 6 weeks I went and watered them. And I had to buy big water containers, lug them around in the car every day and water them, the boilers there. But
Well, we'll work something.
it's not.
It's not too far for me to go. So we'll work something out. Let's, we can have.
Or I'll look at some of these others as well.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah. Cheers.
Good luck. Alright, so the last item is the warm welcome.
Okay.
We request the improvement of the year there. Anyone want to kick on?
Yes, please. Don't you need to recuse yourself because on your profile on the parish council webpage, you actually say you sponsor the warm welcome.
I did sponsor the warm welcome when it was written.
Are you saying you'll
That's not been updated. So I won't be recusing myself, but thank you for pointing that out. I will update my profile.
The agenda item, I'm fairly sure it's just asking, can they carry on with no charge? Is that not the bottom line of that?
Yeah.
Right, so I believe that it should be carry on with no charge. It's such a great asset and talking point of the village, and as we know from the time it's been run, it's, I won't go so far as to say some lives, but it certainly helped many of the elderly people in particular.
Yeah.
And I love that story of where they've well, perhaps Alison should be telling it, but where a lady was hovering at the front there and somebody saw her there, and she didn't have the nerve to come across through the door until somebody went to meet her. Take her in, and she'd been to everyone since.
That's great.
And I've made friends as well.
Yeah, lovely. That's great.
Go beyond the Wednesday mornings.
I'm very impressed by the article in, was it in the Guardian?
Yeah.
About the hub thing. I think that's a really good initiative. Very good. I think the warm Wednesday team needs to be included.
That was another issue, actually. Again, why I'm voting carry on the way it is that Wendy, perhaps it was, organised these people to come and talk, one of which was from the Chester East Social Services Council, who looked after me with Karen.
I mean, the only thing that I personally think, I don't think there's a problem with letting them have the hall. I do think, obviously, going back to the cost of all these things, you know, with regards to heating and things like that, is there no provision that we can, you know, ask them to go back and, you know, apply for a grant? You know, like all these warm welcomes are funded, you know, in these hubs, wherever they are, they do get grants to run them. That's the idea of them. It's a warm welcome. It's a warm event. It's a warm place for you to come. That's how they were started. And so, from my point of view, obviously, you know, I sort of like started something off the other day when, you know, the heating was blasting through. I actually thought it was the boiler. I actually thought there was a boiler on in the kitchen and that it was all like steaming out. But I know that this room heats up very quickly, because if we come in when we've got Zumba on, we put it on and within 10 minutes the radiators are absolutely red hot and the room is warm. You know, we're turning it off 5 minutes later. That's exactly how it is. So
yeah, that's my thought.
The one thing I would say about that is on the Wednesday morning when I came in, the heating had been on. When I came in, it gone 10. Just after 10. The thermostat still didn't say it was 18. It didn't get to 18 degrees in here till 10:15. Then, of course, the boiler switches off. But it's not it's not sort of on all the time continuously. Once you've set your thermostat to 18.
Yes, I know, but I've just put this radiator on to, not to prove a point, but I've just put the radiator on while I've been sat here because I actually did go cold. And this room now is very, very warm, and it's only been put on within this period of time while we've been sat in here.
What's the thermostat say it is in here? That's the only thing that
these radiators is boiling.
For older people to be coming in.
It's 19.
Yeah. Well, you see, it should be off now.
Well, these radiators, it's on. These radiators are boiling hot.
Well, the thermostat is obviously set too high.
You can't even put your backside on it.
No, it's just because it's got to 18. It's still going for a while.
Yeah.
My point is that I only put it on an hour, maybe an hour ago, and the room is very warm.
Yeah, well, this one we expect it to be warm for 10 o'clock when we start coming to do the setup.
I think most people that come here, and you know, I can come up and warm it when I know I'm doing the event, and I do it half an hour before, which is what, if we get the hive, that's what I was going to do, put it on half an hour. Now it's different with you because you're coming in at 10, not at 10:30 when it starts. But I'd still be putting it on at 9:30.
Does it start at 10 or 10:30?
10:30. He says come in at 10.
And set up. I mean, really, how much does heating cost if we need to have? Is it the heating cost that's?
Well, I don't think it makes so much cost. I think it's being prudent with what is the gift. If I'm paying from 8:30, then I'm quite just allowed to go turn on the heat.
Just to point out, it wasn't Wendy that asked for it to be put on.
Well, don't say that.
It wasn't the warm welcome, it was just that people wasn't to get the tables out for us, so we put it on and filled the urn at that time in the morning.
But it's costing us extra money, which when we don't need to pay. You know, we're quite happy to support free use of the hall. I don't think that's in anyone's question. But, you know, if the band's really go on at 5:30 to start at 7:30, that would be taking unless they're paying for 5:30, and it's the same thing. You know, we don't need it on for 2 hours before it starts.
Well, then we don't turn it on in the morning, Peter.
Well, that would be nice.
No, but it's still, turn it on at 9:30.
Yeah, I turn it on when we come in.
Like 10 or
I mean, once the hive's in, have we sorted them? So,
we've got to get the electrical.
Things sorted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Listen,
Alison, it sounds very petty. I know it sounds very petty, but I just think that...
No, it isn't that it sounds petty. I do quite agree with that as well. But yes, there are costs that are incurred. But I think it's just the, I mean, the number of times that I've come in, it was only the other Thursday I came in and it'd been on all night again. Well, yeah. So we just switched it off and thought, yes, we just forgot to turn it off. Which happens, like it does, doesn't it?
Okay. So I mean, I absolutely totally agree with this. Chris, I think it's great. I totally think we should continue it being for free. Well, I suppose Jane's point is right, that if there is another source of funding available that might help cover those costs, that's then money that the council doesn't have to spend on the heating. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of
You and wellness.
my thoughts are really is that it's, you know, just because it's free, you know, we don't have to try and get anything. And I feel that that's wrong, really, because all these other groups are getting it. So I think
Well, we have chance.
let's just try.
The next thing the council. I mean, when we tried to run social events, we did the Beetle Drive and we donated £150 for that. But I do think that maybe it is a conversation that needs to happen between Chair of Warm Welcome and Chair of Council.
You know, I'm doing that.
First was the reports around the continued use of the village hall free. I have some suggestions on how we can reduce the burden to the council, and we'll arrange a meeting between the two chairs to discuss. And I don't know, maybe include the vice chair as somebody who sits on both sides, somebody who uses it, but somebody else who is required to look after.
Well, I was speaking my mind again. Of course, they could well be coming to us and saying, could we have £100 a month to pay for the food and the biscuits and all the rest of it, which they're not doing. So they're self-funding in that regard. I would have thought that the cost of the extra gas is minimal. We could probably work it out if that's small-minded enough. But I think it's a wonderful thing for the village to be doing.
Thank you.
And I don't think anyone disagrees.
No
one disagrees.
Responding to James.
Yeah. No, I don't. I completely. I'm for it because for me, even if it gets one old person out and here and chatting for a couple of hours, then it's done its job as far as I'm concerned. But I am concerned that they've never tried to apply for a grant for it, because I know that there was lots of grants around for it.
Okay. I think we've discussed it, so
well, I'd just like to propose that actually we as a council formally thank the group for what they're doing for the residents. I think particularly the development with the new hub, to not only continue what's being done, but further access to help for the residents. I think it's really good, and I propose that we specifically thank the group for that.
Actually, one thing that might be worth then discussing with Wendy. So you talked about a lot of things I knew nothing about, and I guess most of the village didn't know about. So maybe some additional information from the Warm Welcome about these talks that are going on, so that residents can go.
What Wendy's reported, when we've done, like we've had Alzheimer's people in.
No, beforehand,
Yeah,
yeah, so we, like beforehand, we put some notices in the notice board.
We just put them on Facebook and we do put them on the notice board.
Yeah, so the notice board, I'm thinking.
Should we go on Parish Council, Facebook and website? And that would get around, even more people.
But I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I've known David for many years. He was Lord Lieutenant. If I'd have known he was in Pickmere, I would have come and talked to him.
Yes, it's the speed of war, the whole.
But it's, I really like the paper. I like to have a chat.
People are. Has the feedback back.
Okay. So, at the end of the formal business, so we need to do our annual parents meeting. So having looked at the diary and what's available, it's suggested that we do it on Wednesday, 23rd of April from 6 to 7.
The same night. 7:30. Yeah.
What date did you say, sorry?
That's Thursday.
Yeah.
And I think as we'd like to we'd like to encourage anybody who gets to come and present.
Can we move the neighbourhood plan or anything? Or?
To the next one as well. Well, how long will our meetings be?
It only takes an hour, so they can be there at 7:30. Yeah.
Last time we just had everyone set up and people came in and they talked.
No, but will that be?
Yeah.
You
It
can
will
manage.
go after, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, okay.
So what time did you say?
6 till 7. It can't be before 6. Yeah.
But if people are coming to set up, they can come and set up before.
The meeting can't be.
But you can't really get before 6, or people still come in the hall and see things before 6.
Actually, that's the point.
The formal meeting will start at 6.
Yeah.
If people come in and look at stuff that needs to happen.
Oh, we could do it from 5 or 5.
Well, we can't make it to in breach of the law.
Yeah, no, we can't then. You can set up from 5:30, but you can't do it.
5:30 for a meeting at 6.
But
Yeah. Yeah, that work.
in cooking. And then the occupation of the next week, regular meeting, the 1st of May, in the village hall. We've seen great change. Just before we, yeah. Okay, so we're second with that, move on to resolution to exclude public and press. So I'll turn off the live stream, and then we'll get on to the application.